Yo, it is 6 p.m. on the dot. No camera issues today, so I am on time. What's good, everybody? Scoot family, what's good, y'all? How y'all doing on this fine Sunday? Nice victory over the Purdue Boilermakers yesterday. Some upsets and, great college football happenings, as it usually is every weekend. But Funky, what's up, man? What's up?
What's
How you
up, B.
feeling?
Moses? What a fantastic weekend. I mean, really, what a weekend for the being an Ohio State fan. Another great one. And I mean, this weekend of all the weekends was one of which just made me very grateful that I'm an Ohio State fan and I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm not a Michigan fan. I'm not really, besides for Oregon fans, we should be the happiest fan bases in America right now, really. So, uh, it's great to be a Buckeye and 2 or 3 more weeks of football, or 3 more weeks of guaranteed football, and then we'll see what happens after that. But we're really crunching down right now, and I think the Buckeyes are doing the same thing. And it seems like every week we're getting a little bit better, a little bit better. I know people kept saying that we're trending down, but in reality, I've never seen us play. I mean, we played really great football yesterday. The offensive line was fantastic. Obviously we're gonna make some mistakes and stuff happens, but I mean it's a great day overall. You see what around the league yesterday, just makes you be really grateful. So I feel really grateful for today, B. Moses. I'm a Buckeye fan.
Definitely grateful. What's up, Tyler? What's good? Matt, Stilly, Matt, everybody in the chat. Good to see y'all. Yeah, definitely happy. And it again, man, this is what I be talking about when I say when we have these definitive statements and these feelings and thoughts, we're such prisoners of the moment. And this is why I preach step back and understand this is college football. We've seen a lot of these movies before, y'all. We overreact, let things play out. It's funny how narratives flip and just disappear in a matter of a clock running to all zeros with a victory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Penn State game, did so much to kind of wipe away some of the goofy over the top narratives. And now you look up and Funky, I'll let you do it. You are the Vegas guy. You are that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the odds for the national title.
Yeah, I mean, according to Bet Online, last time I checked was about an hour and a half ago. You can get Ohio State at plus 300 to win the Natty. Second place, Oregon at around plus 400. And then
What?
third
The number
place,
one team in the country is in second? That's weird.
it's weird. I mean, it's weird, and it's crazy how Ohio State's odds keep going down, and theirs still is basically staying pretty much the same as it has been for the last couple of weeks. I think it's pretty clear right now that Vegas thinks Ohio State's going to win the Natty. We have 33% chance implied odds, which is insanely good for these playoff format, because we're going to have to win a quarterfinal game, a semifinal game, and a national title game. I mean, at minimum, probably also if we don't beat Oregon in the championship, then we have to play them another round and then probably run into them again in the playoffs. So, but Ohio State's plus 300, Oregon's around plus 400, and then Texas is like plus 475, plus 500, somewhere around that. But we're well below Ohio State's odds. So, and Georgia's, barely there anymore. But it's just funny how narratives change, and we talk about that. We talked about on the show and in general on the message board world, on Twitter world, that people are talking about how Georgia is just this unbeatable force, and it's a lot because they haven't lost in a couple of years.
Negative.
They haven't lost to a team they haven't lost to a team not named Alabama in years. But people think that just because it happened last year, it happens every year, and they're like, oh, they just can't lose, they're unbeatable. But if you watch the show, we'll be like, hey, that's not. If you watch Georgia play, that's not what it was. They escaped University of Kentucky this year. They got like 40 points put up on them by Mississippi State, or it was something insane. It was like 30 plus points. A lot of points put up against Mississippi State. Struggled a lot. Carson Beck looked horrible. We told you, we're like, all these fans are like, we can't win because we have Will Howard and we don't have Carson Beck, or blah blah blah. Foolishness. Will Howard is 10 times better than Carson Beck ever was. And Carson Beck was the reigning but he was the favorite to be the first pick in the draft. And people think Will Howard was horrible and got benched at Kansas State. In reality, Will Howard is 100 times better than Carson Beck and is showing that. And is just, and Georgia's in a really bad spot right now. Not even, I mean, they're 1 loss away from being out of the playoffs. And even if they make the playoffs, they'll be a lower seed and having to go on the road and then play another game and then play another game and then play another game. So I'll tell you right now, Georgia's not winning a natty. Georgia's not winning a natty. I think Texas still has a chance. Oregon for sure has a chance, and Ohio State is the favorites. So, I mean, again, that's just the one thing when we tell you, like, people call us sunshine pumpers or whatever. We're not sunshine pumping. We're giving the facts. We're the natty favorites. Let's be happy. Georgia's really far back, and really every other team is pretty damn far back compared to us, besides Oregon. Oregon's still there, but Oregon's also undefeated, number 1 team in the country. So I mean, they deserve it, but it's really, so let's just be grateful. That's all I gotta say. Let's just be grateful. Are we gonna win the natty? Who knows? But we definitely have a really, really great shot at it.
I mean, I don't know how we're going to win if we fire Ryan Day. I mean, it's going to happen any day now. Our fans are pounding the table. They're actually at the door of the Woody right now with tiki torches, to fire Ryan Day. I'm going to read a comment from y'all a little bit later from a fan on my Facebook, Buckeye Sports Talk with B. Moses page, just to give you an idea of some of the foolishness that we deal with. I don't be making stuff up. Like, I see this all the time, and we'll get to that later. But so of course the Vegas odds is not a 100% sure lock that Ohio State is going to win the title. It's just like someone said in the chat, Vegas doesn't give away money. So if they're saying that, they believe that this team should win the natty, or could, or probably most likely will. So the point is, we went from some fans just listen. I've seen multiple people talk about we're going 8-4, and we're going to have 3 or 4 losses, and all this type of garbage. Now, obviously, we got Indiana coming up. We got the team up north coming up, and we're going to get to Indiana. Trust me, we're going to get to Indiana. But we just wanted to start out with that because, again, it's just a couple weeks ago, lots of hand wringing and lots of definitive statements of how it's over and we not winning nothing. Nah, we right there. We are right there. I'm telling y'all, we are going to win out. It's going to happen, and we're going to get into that. But I'm excited. And yes, Funky, to your point, I am very happy to be a Buckeye fan. I'm not going to be spoiled to the point where I have no perspective, to the point where I don't appreciate what we've consistently done. And the fact that, Funky, you brought up a good point backstage before we hopped on, with these people talking about, natties and what Day hasn't won a natty. We've told you 15 million times about the comparison to Kirby Smart in his 6th year and how he kept losing and how the Georgia fans wanted him fired. That's a fact. Okay. Very similar to what's going on now until he broke through. Natties don't come like that. Nick Saban is an anomaly. Like, there's not too many Nick Sabans out there, number one. So we've won 2 natties, to your point, Funky, and in the last 50 years or 40 years. It's not something you can just easily get. And I believe we're right there. We are right there. And I believe this is going to be the year that we get to it. But anyway, with that said, we wanted to talk about the Purdue game. We're going to talk about Indiana scum. We're going to talk about the Hoosiers and the concerns about them in a couple weeks and all of that. But Funky, anything you wanted to add to that, or you want to mention, go ahead into the Purdue game?
One thing I'll add is Ryan Day is 45 years old. He's been coaching Ohio State. This is his 6th year coaching Ohio State. If we're being real, Ryan Day could go down as the most winningest coach in Ohio State history. Realistically, if he starts winning natties now, like if we're holding him to the expectations that we will want to hold him as fan base, win a natty every 5 years, that's pretty much what people want. Even if that, maybe every more than that. If Ryan Day wins a natty every 5 years at Ohio State, that means he would probably end his career at Ohio State with 4 or 5 national titles and have the most wins in program history and be one of the most successful coaches of all time. So pretty much Ohio State fans, we compare Ryan Day, or the standards we hold to him end up being the greatest coach of all time. That just frankly is, I mean, that's literally what people are complaining. We're complaining that he hasn't won a natty, and even though he's come, 2 plays away from winning 2 natties. So, I mean, he's been to a national championship. Let's just go through all the years in my head. 2019, we lose that game off the fumble call. Are we beating LSU in the championship? Probably not, but still, we're very close to winning Natty that year. 2020, we make it to the national title and get ran. 2021,
missing a whole lot of players because the Big Ten had ridiculous COVID rules compared to the SEC. But go ahead.
No, that's very true. That's a point taken. But again, we're close to winning Natty that year. 2021, we weren't close, really. I mean, not really. We weren't going to win a Natty that year, in my opinion, at least. I think 2022, we are literally a missed field goal away from winning a national title. Literally a missed field goal away from winning a national title. In 2023, we are really a cheating scandal away from winning a national title. Because if Michigan doesn't cheat that year, then who knows? They slip up once or twice during that year, during those 8-9 games they cheated in, and we maybe win the Big Ten, even though we lost them later that year, and we make the playoffs and win the Natty. That very well could happen. We were also 30 yards away from beating Michigan, who won the national title that year. So really, we're really, really close to this. So, but that's pretty much what I'm saying is Ryan Day's not going nowhere. He's young. He's going to be here for a while. So get used to it because he's eventually going to start winning, and he might not. It might take 10 years to win a Natty. It might even take 12. But that still would be really crazy because that would mean he wins 2 or 3 national titles in his tenure at Ohio State, which would put him down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. So he won't be Nick Saban, but no one's been Nick Saban. That's why Nick Saban was so special. So,
right. Exactly. Amen to all of that, Funky. I'm going to have to clip that later and post it. But yeah, bro, 100%. And again, man, it's just this weird dynamic of these fans calling for Day's head at every turn that want to take what you just said as, oh, so you're just fine with mediocrity then. Huh. So you just don't care. But no, you idiot. We have perspective and we're realistic and we examine facts. And so, I like Coach Day a lot. I think Coach Day is a great guy. I think he's a great human. I think the team loves him. I think his staff loves him and appreciates him and all of that. I love how the off the field stuff has not been an issue. I believe we have incredible young men. Look at the academics that have gone up under him. I forget. I think we're up there with Harvard or something. I forget what it was. Something academically up there with Harvard. With that said, I don't care how much I like a coach. He still has to win. So I get that. But he's going to win, y'all. He's going to beat Scum this year. We're going to Indianapolis, and we're going to beat Oregon in Indianapolis. He's going to hoist that trophy, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait for the haters to, come up with another excuse or to move the goalpost.
We know what's going to happen, B. Moses. He's going to go win out, beat Oregon, national title, go 12, where that'd be 12-1 with a Big Ten title, and everyone's going to be like, that doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. It's all about natties. It's all about natties. It's all about natties. So
right. Exactly. And check this out. You know what else they're gonna say? Shout out Chocolate Chips, Gucci. Your name is dope. Much love to you too. Appreciate you. Here's the other thing. They're also going to say, well, of course, you finally beat Scum. They're 6-6. Yeah. Well, finally, Ryan Day will get to play a terrible Scum team like Urban got to do most of his tenure. And listen, that's not a jab at Herb. Exactly. On top of that, without freaking Connor Stallions.
Yeah.
So, listen, I love Herb. Herb is my dog. Look, first of all, people try to act like there's some type of friction between Day and Herb. Like no. Urban Meyer said, hire this dude because he believed in him. Urban Meyer, one of the greatest coaches in college football history, right? If you like, he's on the list and he loves Ohio State. Do you think he would say, hey, give the keys to this guy if he didn't believe in him? So this is not a Herb versus Day thing, but I'm saying Urban, let's be honest, he had the luxury of playing some bum Michigan teams. Think about the quarterbacks that were on some of those Wilton Spate and freaking who was the two bums they rotated the one year? I can't remember. And JJ McCarthy to me is not really great, but he's the best they've had out of all of the years Urban was coaching against them. So anyway, my point is Y'all can try to play that card to say, oh, well, Michigan's weak this year, so that's why he beat them. Okay, well, cool. That's great. Finally, he didn't have to deal with cheating and a better team than Urban has ever coached against. So miss me with that one too. But anyway. So let's talk about Purdue real quick. We're not going to be long on Purdue because let's face it, 45-0 is what it is. I felt much better about our field goal kicker after watching Purdue's field goal kicker. You talk about trash. I mean, listen, I laughed out loud on that last field goal. I was like, oh, they're going to get on the board. And he missed. I'm like, I was feeling bad about fielding. I was like, man, I feel much better now. But
the boys went crazy after that one. The boys, the team went crazy.
Yes. Yeah, man. Like this dude just gifted as a shutout. But no, the team played well overall. I know there was people still complaining that it was a letdown game in the first half. We were up 21-0. I'm just like, man, look, man. Please stop this. I know we want to get out 45-0 at the half. I get it. I understand it. It's okay though. I will gladly take 45-0, y'all. You know what I'm saying? The team played very well. I thought Will Howard was really good. Didn't make any mistakes, any noticeable stat mistakes. Henderson, I predicted he would go over 100 yards. He didn't get the big long run that I predicted, but he got over 100 yards. He looked good. Carnell Tate looked good. I mean, the line looked good once again. I know Purdue is trash, but they still played well. You know what I'm saying? They still lined up and fired off the ball, and they looked like they knew what they were doing assignment-wise. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not just about hat on hat, I'm bigger than you. Do you know which way to pull? Do you have the timing down? Do you know how to go to the second level? Like, they were doing that. And that's what I wanted to see coming off that Penn State game, because you can kind of think it's a fluke. Like, okay, they just had adrenaline on the road, fighting for their season. Nah, they played well. And it was good to see that. And they got rest. And here's the thing, y'all. Another reason why we probably didn't go up 35-0.5 is because we had backups in early on. Did y'all see? Did y'all see they even ran a little bit of the jack row? Did you see that, Funky?
Yeah, that should be burnt. But yeah, we saw. I definitely, yeah. We can never do that again.
They tested. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like the point is that they had Mitchell Melton out there early. Edric Houston, the true freshman that they moved to D tackle this past week, was already in there playing like early. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, Edric Houston was. Yeah, he played what I saw like a snap count. Someone posted it on Twitter. I think he played the second most snaps out of any single person on the D line. And Caden Curry was number one. I'm pretty sure it was like Caden Curry and then him. And I was like, wow, they were playing them boys early and often.
Early, and, exactly.
And Matthews played a lot too. The sophomore. Well, yeah.
I'm trying to think who else was in there early. There was somebody else in there early rotating. And I was just like, man, we going young early. Like, this was in the first series, y'all. Mm-hmm. So we took this game to work on some things and to get some guys some early playing time. And we still was up 21-0 and beat them 45-0. So, some people just want to complain just to complain. But to me, I love that. That was great. Absolutely great. And no injuries. Hinsman went down for a little bit, but he seems to be okay. And
he's good. He posted something on Twitter. Okay. Thank God for knee braces with laughing emojis. Which
you go. There you go. So that's great. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was it was boring at times. Gus Johnson had zero juice. He called that game like he was just filing his nails the whole time.
Sorry, I need to go to rant about Gus. Gus, I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure which Ohio State player stole his money or stole his girl or stole something from him. Because the way he talks about Ohio State nowadays, or compared to I know he was talking about world famous Ohio State the whole entire time during the Penn State game. But if you compare his reactions to the Penn State touchdowns compared to Ohio State touchdowns, it's like night and day. And I was almost laughing about it. I was like, what is he doing? Like the Brandon touchdown, he was like, touchdown Ohio State. But then the pick six, literally 5 minutes before that, he was like, touchdown Penn State. And I was like, wow, what happened to Gus? In this game, it sounded like he was just like not even sure what was happening to him. Someone must he must be having a really rough time because I mean better get used to it because as he told us in 2 weeks he'll be right back here for big noon kickoff for Ohio State versus Indiana. So
Another big
what
noon kickoff.
very disappointing, but okay. This is what I'll say. I said this last week and I said it's a very unpopular opinion, but I'm happy it's a noon kickoff because as Kirk already says, that gives us a full day to rest for Scum. And I don't care. I I could really give a crap about a kickoff if that gives us any smaller chance to losing to Scum. Because I mean that's really we talk about it like that's what matters. And for me, the goalpost has never really changed. It's the be successful this year. I want to be competing for a national title, but you have to beat Scum. You can't compete for a national title and not beat Scum this year. You have to beat Scum. They're horrible this year, so there's no excuses not to. So I'm happy it's a 9 a.m. kickoff. I feel like that gives us the best chance to beat Scum the next week. So that's my opinion on it. But yeah.
No, I feel you on that. Like that's the one upside, and I mentioned that. I think I said that I did a live podcast with Ohio podcast yesterday for the game, like during the game, and that's something I did say is that's the upside is that the game's over earlier. They have more time to recover, rest, and get ready for Scum Week. I mean, yeah, but I was hoping Indiana would have been a 3:30 because the second half would have been a night game because we didn't have any good night games this year in the shoot. So that would have been nice to see, but it's cool. It is what it is. Just win. But the Nooners is just like, it's just like, oh, here we go again. But yeah, I feel you. I definitely feel you. It's all about beating Scum. And so to me, I mean, Purdue, as we kind of put a wrap on Purdue, I mean, honestly, I'm trying to think of anything else that really stuck out.
Carnell Tate sung out to me personally.
Yeah.
He looked awesome yesterday. Oh my, like we are so lucky to be like Ohio State fans because we're gonna lose a Mecca this year, and he'll be a first round pick, top 20 pick in the NFL draft, and we're gonna improve. We're gonna be better next year after losing a first round talent at wide receiver because Brandon Innes, dog, Carnell Tate, first round pick, JJ Smith, first overall pick. So and then that's not even to talk about like Mylan Graham and all these other boys that are going to be cooking next Jaden Ballard. Like we've an abundance of riches, and Carnell Tate really showed out on that one drive where they kept talking about him, but it was well deserved. It looks like we're targeting him every other play. So
yeah, and that one drop that he had, which was unfortunate. Where the ball got ripped out, they went right to him, like you said. After that, like 2 straight times for first downs. So yeah, they clearly believe him. It's just so dope and a luxury to have a guy like that after Ibuka and JJ Smith. It's just like, okay, go ahead and roll coverage if you want to. Carnell Tate is going to get open, and not only that, we've hit him on little flares. You know what I'm saying? To the flat where he has the speed to get out there and pick up a nice gain or even end around. Like the luxury of having Carnell Tate on top of our top 2 receivers. And Ennis, I know Ennis dropped the ball from Julian Sang yesterday, but other than that, he was solid.
Julian Sang looked good.
Julian Sang looks so small, man.
Yeah. Well, he does.
I know he's a freshman. Listen, he's a freshman. He will gain weight. He will mature. But right now, he looked like little Scrappy Doo out there scrambling for that little 15-yard first down.
He looked fast though. I mean,
he did. He didn't look slow.
Yeah.
He didn't look slow at all. He just looks tiny.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, you're totally right on that. And that's always going to be his critique, and that's going to be the scary thing having him at quarterback. Just being like, wow, any hit can knock him out of the game. But dang, he looked accurate. Like he got really unlucky with some drops and stuff. Like multiple drops. Like I felt bad for him because I was like, dang, his stats are gonna look crappy, but like he looks great. The ball placement looks good. And he looked fast and he looked willing to run. I mean, he scrambled for like 15 yards, and it was like I honestly didn't even know who was out there. I was like, is that Devin Brown? I was like, no. And I was like, I was watching on my phone a little bit. So, but I was like, wow, that's Julian. He looked quick. So, I mean, he looked promising to me. I mean, but you're right. He's just gonna scare the crap out of us next year and being like holding our breaths every single time he takes a hit or something. So
yeah. Hey, Studley Butley, is that Bud Kirk? Hit me up. Let me know in the chat if that's you from the page. But yeah, listen, let's slide into Purdue. I'm sorry, into Indiana scum, and then I want to talk about Indiana, Ohio State, and some of the fear mongering and some of the just the scum fans and our haters hitching their wagon to Indiana. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, y'all. At this point, we're gonna talk about it. But Indiana scum. Who watched the Indiana scum game out there?
Me.
In the chat. Yeah. See, I didn't catch it live.
I watched every.
I didn't catch it live. I only saw a little bit of it, but then I went back and watched the BT and the 60 of it. So I did see the game. I just didn't catch it live. And what I predicted also yesterday, because there was some saying that Indiana was going to blow them out, and I was like, no, it's going to. I think it's going to be a little closer, and they'll probably win by 10 points, 10 to 13 points. They won by less than that, obviously. But my point is that they haven't seen Scum is not a good team, but they have a good front. They have a solid front that you have to wear down. Okay. And I said that they haven't seen a front like Scum's all year, which is true. And I think that played out yesterday because the quarterback, he was hurried more than he's ever been. He wasn't as comfortable. They got penetration and, he was a little rattled at times. And so the physicality, they had not seen that. And I think we saw that play out for 4 quarters to where, yes, Indiana was the better team, but the physicality matchup was like, you know what I'm saying? Because they haven't really played anybody. And that was my point is like, yes, I respect them. They're good. They're well coached, but they ain't seen nothing close to our total talent. They just haven't. And they got to come to the shoe. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I respect them, but I'm not over here quaking in my boots either. And yesterday's game kind of confirmed that. Go ahead, Funk, if you got some thoughts.
So there's 2 things I've talked. Well, I'll talk first about the game. One, Indiana was clearly the better team. They had a really bad second half, but rallied late, played well defensively, and really got the W. And I'm very happy for them. I'm there. Trust me. So there's some people out there rooting against them, being like, "Oh, we want the better playoff position or whatever." Personally, was never going to be me, never will be me. I was so happy to see him get the job done and beat Scum. As we talked about, I thought the game was way closer than expected. I thought they're going to get blown out by a lot. I truly thought that. And at first I was like, oh, I'm right about this. And it was like 17-3. Then all of a sudden I was like, oh crap. Oh wait, please stop. Sorry. I'm just like coughing a little bit, but they got the job done, and I'm happy for them. But the honeymoon's over, Indiana. You're going into the horseshoe in 2 weeks. They get a bye this week, so lucky them. But next week they're going to the horseshoe, and they don't match up well against us. They just don't. They will really rely on like big plays down the field and have like decently talented wide receivers, and they really rely on getting like the quarterback run game going. But I feel like this year's Ohio State team matches up really, really well against that because they don't have Tez Johnsons. They don't have anywhere closest as talented as we do, and we put pressure on the quarterback. This new defense we've been playing, we've been putting. People are complaining about the pressures and sacks and turnovers and all that stuff. B. Moses, that all went silent. All went silent. We get so much pressure on the quarterback, and we let our but we leave our cornerbacks on islands, and that's where the plays come from. Most of the plays that came that Purdue had success with was defensive pass interferences and personal fouls on us. And when we try to do the jack stuff, they can just run it. So, but I assume we'll never do that ever again, especially if we're playing an Indiana team. We won't do that because it really wasn't working. So, yeah. So we're going to go back to the normal defense, and I don't think Indiana's going to be able to run the ball. They're obviously less talented than us, and I think our cornerbacks match up really, really well against their wide receivers because, again, they don't have a Tez Johnson. They don't have a whatever. We can't do that versus every team, clearly. Like, we can't do that versus Oregon. We won't be able to do that versus Texas. But versus Indiana, we're just more talented and better coach. If anyone thinks Indiana is better coach than Ohio State, they're not very smart people. We have a guy named Chip Kelly on our team who, in my opinion, won us that Penn State game. And then another guy, oh my God, Jim Knowles on our team that arguably what has won us a lot. I mean, won us a ton of games the last couple of years, and he's just been the best defensive mind in college football the last 3-4 seasons. As much as people give him crap, that's just facts. You look at the stats. We're first. We're teams average 3.5 points a game in the second half versus us this year.
Yeah, I saw that stats. Crazy.
3.5 points a game. Wow. I mean, that's insane. That's coaching. That's literally all coaching too. That's not talent. That's not players. That's coaching. Because if it wasn't coaching, then the first and second half would look pretty similar. But it doesn't. It looks like night and day difference. So we're like the second best team in total and like points per game wise, and Army slightly ahead of us. But then again, Army plays a way weaker schedule than we do, so we really are the number one team defense in the nation. So. But yeah, I don't think Indiana. We're gonna be like 14-point favorites in that game, and I think we win by over 10. That's what I'll say. Which is to me is a blowout, or at least we win not very close. It'll be somewhere between like 10 and 21 points that we win by. So that's my 2-week out prediction.
Listen, I don't disagree with any of that, and people lose their mind when you kind of don't praise Indiana. Some people, and it's just like I'm trying to look at this in a fair, reasonable, realistic way, and I just haven't been able to get to that point. Look, this is a good segue, not a segue, but a good time to read this comment. So those who follow me on Facebook, Buckeye Sports Talk with B. Moses on Facebook, y'all probably seen this thread. I posted it earlier. Justin Spiro on Twitter, he made a post about Ryan Day and how people try to discredit him for taking over a program with talent, the whole third base stuff. And he had a long post giving great examples of other coaches who have taken a lot of talent, from Larry Coker to Ed Orgeron. He said like he won a title, but then, drove it off the road. It's a great post. Anyway, I posted it on my page, and I had a comment that I'm about to read to y'all. I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to embarrass them, because it's just ridiculous. But this is a person who disagreed with Spiro's post and said basically, nah, fire Day. He says, I could have hired any other pack of monkeys, and with the talent Ohio State has, they'd win the same amount of games. Against good teams, Day is terrible. Facts. And I'm a big Ohio State fan. I've said for the last 5 weeks that Cignetti will beat him on 11-23, and I stand by that. I know I'm an idiot. Just bookmark me here, and we will see who knows football. IU is a better coach team. Cignetti is a far better coach, and Day needs to leave. Hashtag bring back Herbs. So there's a few idiots out here like this that actually believe this. Okay.
Hey, B. Moses, check your text real quick.
Okay, yep, I just saw it. Saw it. So yeah, go ahead and respond to that while I handle that, Funk.
Yeah, Indiana hasn't. Sorry, what you're saying. Sorry, I got off track right there. Yeah, I mean, people are just going to move the goalposts. Remember after the Oregon game, it was chalk that we're going 9-3. I mean, I heard that 1,000 times. Like, oh, we're just going to go 9-3. Like, what? Blah blah blah. This Ohio State team sucks. Like, well, we were promised a team that was going to be dominant and win a national title, and we're just going to go 9-3 and lose to Penn State. And Ryan Day can't win a top 5 team, and we're just going to lose to Indiana. But it's just people. We're insecure. I had a rant about this before. We're insecure. It is like, as a fan base, we just, for some reason, our fans more than other fans think we're going to lose every single game. That's difficult. And we're going to be, I remember last year, because I fell for it a little bit. I remember thinking about like the schedule and looking at it, and I was like, oh, we play at Notre Dame and at Michigan and versus Penn State. And I was like, dang, we're probably going to lose 2 to 3 games this year. And guess what? Every year I say that, we're wrong. We lose 1 to 2 games a year. And this schedule, really, we're not gonna lose 2 games. I hate to say there's no chance to lose Indiana, but I just don't think we're going to. We barely lose home games. Like, we rarely lose home games. We lost to Oklahoma. Or I'm thinking about in my lifetime. We've lost to Oklahoma at home, and that's really all I can think about. And I'm not counting the scum because I was clearly cheating. So we just don't really lose at home. We don't lose at home often, and we rarely do it. So if we're basing it off that and that facts, then I think it's pretty chalky that we go 11-1. And once we go 11-1, B Moses, all these fans are going to be jumping on the train too, and they'd be like, "Oh, we're so good, we're going to win everything." And if we don't win everything, then they'll go back to being upset. So we just got to stop being insecure as a fan base and start having confidence in ourselves and stop complaining, because we could be Georgia right now, we could be Alabama, which even now everyone probably thinks Alabama would smoke us because they beat a really horrible LSU team by 40 or whatever. But that's just how our fan base is, and it's just annoying. But all I got to say is, don't jump on it now. Really, if you want to keep being a hater and that stuff, just be quiet and appreciate the season. We have 3 weeks left that are guaranteed, and nothing's guaranteed really past that. So let's just sit here and appreciate it while we still have it, because when football's gone, then all people are going to see is football back on the screen. And if you watch a game looking for mistakes, like if you watch Will Howard play, B Moses, and you try to look and be like, well, his deep ball isn't great, blah, blah. He's like the 5th ranked deep ball in the whole entire college football this year. I think according to PFF or something. I saw it on Twitter. He's literally like the 5th best quarterback at the deep ball this year. And people are like, well, he just can't throw the deep ball. I'm like, is that probably his weakest part of his game? Probably. That's a pretty damn good to be weak at, in my opinion. So he's been amazing this year, and I really think he should be in the Heisman candidate. It's a little bit, the Heisman talk this year is weird because of Genty and Travis Hunter. But if Colorado slips up once or twice and Boise State loses again, and Ohio State wins out, then I think Will Howard could not just win the Heisman, but I think he could. I mean, he for sure should be in New York City, but I think he could also win the whole thing if some stuff starts to break our way.
Yeah, no, I agree. Things could shake out. I mean, obviously, this is not a buck against your point, Funky.
Yeah.
Obviously, everything else is what matters first,
Clearly,
to the team, players, and stuff like that. But with stuff playing out naturally, yes, you're right. I believe he could still end up in New York and have a shot, especially at the end of the season when you see the numbers stack up and you're like, oh, I thought in my mind, he was trash because he wasn't perfect in a few games, but he's actually been pretty good. So more than pretty good. But listen, since the chat is clamoring for me to call this clown out, his name is Jonathan David. If you go to the post on Buckeye Sports Talk with B Moses on Facebook, all right, you can go in there and respond, because he sprayed up the comments with a bunch of troll responses. So after the show, because I still want y'all to rock with me here, after the show, if you want to go on that post and get at him, get at him. Because I've already responded a couple of times, but I'm not going to give him too much energy. I got stuff to do. I got kids to feed. Anyway, Biggie Lime. Anyway, so yes, somebody talked about complaining. Somebody said it's not Ohio State fans without complaining. Listen, I'll say this again, y'all, because people want to put words in our mouths. We're not saying you can't express your concerns. Matt Randalls, for example, what's up, brother, from my page? Glad you hopped on. You aren't being negative about wanting to see the line to continue to improve. That's fine. That is perfectly reasonable. This is a new offensive line mid-season. So far, they've been good, but you want to see improvement. That is perfectly fine. We are talking about some of these folks who are just absurdly, ridiculously over the top with these takes. Just super negative, always nitpicking about something. We're talking about those folk. We all have concerns. There's things we all want to see be better. So we're not talking about those people. We're talking about those who it just seems like all they want to do is complain. Nothing is ever good enough. You know what I'm saying? It's those people who, when something is not perfect, they show up to spray the comments up. When we do something really good, they're nowhere to be found. I know this because I run a page of 20,000 followers on Facebook, and I see the different people who come on. And I'm telling you that it's just people, they love negativity. You know what I'm saying? So it's very annoying. But to your point, Funk, they're going to circle back and they're going to be, yay, like they were there the whole time, not being a goofy whenever something didn't go perfect.
Exactly. It's just annoying. And it's like, we'll see. It's just hard. We get called sunshine pumpers every single day, B Moses. And but it just, and that stuff just doesn't make sense to me logically, because we're telling you the facts of what's happening, but like we're also not saying like can Ohio State go out there versus Indiana in 2 weeks and lose? Yeah, I mean, sure, that could happen. Do I think it will happen? Absolutely not. But could it happen? For sure. I mean, you see Vanderbilt beat Bama. You saw Georgia almost lose to University of Kentucky. You saw a bunch of these huge. You saw like NIU or Northern Illinois University beat Notre Dame. So stuff happens. Stuff. So we just gotta appreciate. Sometimes look at the better side of things and not dwell on what could happen or what could have happened or oh my God, we're so screwed because the offensive line played horrible one game, even though we were the best offensive line in the nation up to that point. So, and I'll swing it back around and say we're the best offensive line in the nation right now. Even though we lost a first round talent on the tackles, I genuinely think we're still the best offensive line in the nation right now. And I base that off, and I don't think that's just because how talented our offensive line is, but I think it's really like 50% Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly makes his offensive line look so good, just like we said it on this podcast after the game. You're like, how do we fix the offensive line? And I went on here and said, hey, to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I know we have guys. We have talented guys, 4-star, 5-star, whatever, even 3-star guys are talented guys. But I said it's going to be up to the coaches. At the end of the day, Chip Kelly can make an offensive line look really, really bad, but he can also make them look really, really good. And so far, he's been perfect and has been really bailing us out in these games. And the offensive line has been doing their job, and it's been great. Same with Carson. Carson's finally back in the rotation. Like, Carson didn't just go from being unplayable to really good overnight. He was clearly very playable for this whole entire time. So I'm just glad the coaches figured that out, and they stepped up to the plate, and they didn't swallow they swallowed their pride, and they played Carson, and it's great.
Yep, I agree. And Hensman went down yesterday, but somebody mentioned he's fine. Like Stilly Matt, like those who just hopped on, he's fine. Funky said he tweeted something out with laughing emojis.
Yeah,
he's
he
good.
tweeted something comical, so we assumed he was fine, unless he was like,
Yeah. So he's good. But to your point, I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to say they're the best O-line, but I think they're playing like the best right now. I mean, they're up there. It's arguable. I want to see a little more down the stretch. But I love how these guys came out against Penn State and this week and executed. Like, that's what I want to see. What was a very questionable, scary thing is now to me something that is solid and I can trust that it's going to continue to be with the O-line. And that is huge. So, and Funky said this earlier, y'all, and I'm going to say it again. We always do this. Kirk and Nevada preach this too. A lot of us complain and moan and during the season, and the season just goes by. A lot of us are just so miserable during the season because everything isn't perfect. And then we whine and complain when it's the off season. Enjoy this, y'all. We have one loss against the number one team on the road by 1 point. We have everything in front of us. And I believe we're going to win out, y'all, in the regular season. And then from there, we'll go from there. And I believe we can do some things there too. But I'm encouraging y'all as a Buckeye brother. Yes, you can say, dang, what are you doing during the game? And we need to play better here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you can't ever have anything to question. I'm just saying don't be so miserable that you're missing the journey. It's the journey, y'all. This is why I've pointed back to 2014, because 2014 was a journey. The players from 2014, the Urban Meyer, he keeps reminding you of that. This year, this team has their own journey. Losing to Oregon by 1 point, you know what I'm saying? That's a part of the journey. The Nebraska game where we played like crap and coached like crap, that's a part of the journey. You know what I'm saying? But look, we're right where we need to be, and we good. You know what I'm saying? So when Indiana comes to town, you best believe these boys are going to be ready. I guarantee they're going to be ready. I'm so happy that Indiana is getting all this praise. Absolutely love it. Love it. And it's probably most likely going to be a top 5 matchup. I know the AP poll dropped today. They had them at 5. The College Football Playoff Committee is probably going to have them at 5 or 6. They're probably anyway, by the time we play them, they're going to be a top 5 team, most likely. That's 3 top 5 matchups in one season for a team. Has that happened? Funk, can you remember that happening?
I mean, no. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, you could look at. I mean, Georgia. I mean, Georgia's schedule this year is insane. So if it didn't happen this year for Georgia, then I don't think because Georgia has to play Tennessee this year too. So they played, but I get Tennessee's not going to be top 5.
Top 5,
or they,
right? Top 5.
Yeah, top 5. I mean, that's insane. I mean, because Penn State's going to be ranked what? I mean, hot take right now. Penn State could be put ahead of Texas in the college football poll this Tuesday.
Yeah. Let me
They
see
could
where
be.
they are right now.
I think in the AP poll they're 4, and then in the last poll they're 5 for the college football playoff poll.
Okay, I posted the AP on my. Yep, so they're 4 right now in the AP right now.
But they could be in the college football poll because if you think about this, if you're going through Penn State's, let's compare Penn State and Texas just for lulz. And this is after Penn State lost. Penn State's loss to Ohio State is a better loss at this point in the year than Texas's loss to Georgia. And Texas kind of got blown out by Georgia. Penn State was pretty much in that game for 4 quarters versus Ohio State. So I think Penn State gets the nod for a better win or a better loss. And then Penn State, they dominated Washington last week, a decent opponent. They dominated Illinois, which is a top 30 team in the country. And they won their games pretty handily, better than Texas did. So, do I think Penn State's better than Texas? No, I think Texas is better than Penn State. But if we're talking about resume-wise, Penn State could be ranked 3rd this week. So that means Ohio State would have a win over the number 3 team in the country, and then play the number 5, 6, or 7 team in the country in Indiana. Just depending on what the committee really does. It's hard to predict because it's like, how are they going to rank Georgia after that? Like, or who knows? Were they going to put Bama? For all I know, they would. I put a little thing there on the board today, and I was like, the committee, for all I know, could put Bama at 6 because they can be like, wow, well, they're playing really good football right now, and they beat Georgia, and then whatever. Because they do this thing where if they rank one team really high, and then that team gets upset, it's not, oh, wow, that team they ranked high might be not as good as they expected. It's always, wow, no, that team that beat them is just really, really good too. So then they'll rank that team high, and that inflates their schedule, and that inflates someone else's schedule, and eventually it just turns to a big SEC bias little thing. Because it's like, I don't believe Bama's good, but because of the fact they beat LSU, who's supposedly good, because LSU beat whoever, then all of a sudden, like, whatever, Bama's now good. But in reality, LSU's probably crap. But LSU's still going to be ranked in the top 25, even though what have they done all year? Nothing.
And they lost to USC, who is mid.
They lost to USC, who's like, yeah, I mean, bad, really, at this point in the year. I mean, like, they're not good at all. They're bad. So, I mean, we'll see. But that's a whole nother thing. The SEC bias is real. It's real. It's inflation. It's like, whatever. But I mean, Ohio State really could play the number 3 team, 1 team, and Indiana will be ranked, whatever, 5th, 6th, 7th. Who really knows? It's really hard to say. I mean, that's crazy. And that's without the playoffs, too. Then we're going to play, the number 1 team again in in Oregon, in Indianapolis. And then we're going to play, whatever, another top and argue in 3 more top 12 games. Because right now we clinch the playoffs, Moses. That's the blessing. Shoe in, we're in. We could lose out really and be in. We're not going to lose out, but we could and probably still be in. So we really guaranteed ourselves more life, and that's very, very, very pleasing.
Absolutely, it is.
Okay, wait, hold up. I'm sorry. Someone just called it Alabama's really, really good now. No, they're not. No, they're not. Nothing has changed. They're just beating up on teams that aren't very good. That's the whole point of this. They're not really good right now. They beat on an overrated Missouri team who is just not good. I mean, frankly, all these fans are now getting scared of Bama in the chat, and this is what we do. We get scared. Bama's not good. Let's wrap around to that. They're not good. They blew out Missouri, who's bad. Missouri's not a good team. Missouri's best wins are versus other bad teams. Anytime Missouri plays any team with a slight pulse, they get blown out. And then they beat up on an LSU team who, again, lost to USC, lost to these other teams, and they looked horrible the last couple of weeks. They got blown out by Texas A&M. They're not very good. So we're inflating these Bama's resume, even though this is the same Bama team who went into Vanderbilt and got smacked in the face. Got smacked in the face by Vandy. by Vanderbilt. I'll repeat that, by Vanderbilt, the same Alabama team who should have lost versus South Carolina. If you watch that game, you know what happened, and they should have lost that game. And the same Alabama team who got smacked by, who else they lose to? I'm literally forgetting now.
Who, Alabama?
Yeah. Oh, Tennessee. They lost to Tennessee, where Bama couldn't score over 20 points versus Tennessee. And it's like, I get Tennessee's good defense, we're a good environment. Tennessee doesn't have a quarterback. Tennessee doesn't recruit on the level Alabama does. Tennessee hasn't won anything ever. So this whole notion that Alabama is good, and to me, is an absolute joke. I think Jalen Milroe is talented, but if Ohio State played Bama tomorrow, we would be 7.5-point favorites, and I think we'd win very handily on a neutral site field. So,
Agreed.
And the only thing that scares me about Bama is their name, and that's what scares everybody. But in reality, this coaching staff's not great. They're not good. That's just the reality of things. You looked at Washington's defense last year. You look at it. It looks like Bama's defense this year, just not good. They have very, very talented players, nonetheless, but their defensive line's not there. Their offensive line is not playing great. Jalen Milroe is really talented running the ball, but passing the ball, he's not all that. So we just got to take a step back. And I don't want to hear anything about Bama being good, because to me, that's just a ridiculous statement, because they're not good. And there's no real team in the SEC this year that I think is all that good. I think Texas lines up well against us on the offensive line and defensive line, Moses, in my opinion. The other teams, and skill position wise, Georgia lines up well on the defensive line. Their offensive line has been shaky this year, but their quarterback play and wide receiver play is so bad that's what's losing them these games. But that's why I think Texas is the best team in the league, even though they lost to Georgia already, is because they're good quarterback play, good wide receiver play, and they line up well on the offensive line and defensive line. But yeah, sorry, I ranted there for a while.
No, I mean, that Alabama comment clearly set you off, and I love the rant.
No.
So now I feel you. Real quick, Chocolate Chip Scoochie, thank you for the $1.99. The running backs, tight ends blocking hard. AFF to it too. It's not just the O-line. 1,000% agree. Thank you for that. Thank you for inserting that comment, because he's right. The tight ends really have been playing well. And also, Will Kazmarek will be back. He will be back at some point, and he was blocking very well. So we're going to need him down the stretch, with the physical run game. So great point. And one thing, I'm going to end this at 6:55, because Kirk and Nevada's coming up at 7, I believe. Or did they come? Or they got a different time start? Do you know, Funk?
I have no. I always assume 7:20 based off their schedules. But
okay, because I had a couple. I wanted to talk about Miami losing real quick, because I was so happy to see Miami lose, because y'all all know. Let me see schedule. Okay, 7:10. They got a 7:10 start. So, we got, 5 to 7 minutes or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I was so happy to see the Cryami, and I've coined this phrase, send me my money, my cut, if y'all use this, the Cryami Hurricanes. People seem to love that when I made that up. But their fans are just ridiculous and stupid, number one. But they should have had at least 3 losses. And we know them ACC refs jumped in there like, up, nope, can't let them lose. But they finally took that L, and I was so happy to see them get up out of here. They're still in contention, but you know what I mean, like to lose. So I wanted to mention that. Anybody watch the Miami game? I thoroughly enjoyed it. I turned it at the end and did Georgia Tech. I just love it, man. I love it. I'm sorry. I'm just not a Miami fans in Miami. They still crying since 2002, and I just love to see them lose. And I wish they would have showed Michael Irvin's face. I didn't see the camera pan to him. Did anybody see the camera pan to him? But did you watch that game, Funky?
I did, and yeah. I mean, I've been on the Miami. I thought Miami was real, and I'm glad to see him finally lose, because it was getting a little frustrating. But I'll take my L on that one. Miami's clearly not back yet, really. They're taking steps in the right direction. But the thing I took away from that was, I mean, Cam Ward's good and all that, but if he was the quarterback at Ohio State, he would be buried right now, bro. People would be crapping on him all over, being like, we wasted all this money, because his last play of the game was pretty bad. Him fumbling. But yeah, I watched the game. Georgia Tech clearly played better. Miami clearly pretty fraudulent. But yeah, I mean, we'll see it. It's That was bound to happen, though. I mean, we know. We all know that was bound to happen. It was finally good to see it go through the goalposts. They'll still probably win the ACC this year, though.
Yeah, definitely. And RC Kingdom, you said I think Ohio State is hiding tricks. I just want to say this real quick. I don't disagree with you, but to kind of expand on that, we have not seen the full-fledged Ohio State on all cylinders yet, y'all. That's another thing. And I said this last week with the 2014 team. Remember, I know that season very well. I've went back and watched games. You know what I'm saying? I went to games. It was the last championship season. So it's just very fresh in my mind, as fresh as a decade can be. But my point is that team didn't start cooking until the end of the season. Like until people remember the Wisconsin, Bama, Oregon games.
Yeah.
That's what they remember, right? Like, casuals and people who aren't really that invested or just not really thinking it through. They remember that. And I'm telling you, Ezekiel Elliott wasn't really Zeke at the beginning of the season. He was a good back, and he was good. You could tell, like, oh, but he's good. But he really didn't become a legend until the end of the season. And that was the same with some of the other players. We emerged, we shifted gears. And we haven't seen this team really get to that point yet. And I'm glad they're not. I mean, we want to see them win 59-0 every game, but it really counts when it matters. And it's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. That Penn State game was a shifter trajectory-wise, and I'm telling you, it's going to happen. So I'm excited. I want y'all to be excited. I want y'all to enjoy these games, even when it's not perfect, even when it's a little boring. Enjoy the fact that we're in the position that we're in, because I'm telling y'all, we're going to look up, and it's going to be off season. It's going to be NASCAR on TV. And y'all gonna be like, what's going on right now? No offense to NASCAR, but you know what I mean? So
you're totally right, B. Moses. And I've been spending this time because I've watched a lot of Tennessee games this year, because of people who know me. I went to middle school with Nico, who's a quarterback at Tennessee. I went to middle school with him. He followed me on Instagram for like 10 or whatever, like 5-6 years. He unfollowed me now. Whatever. Not pissed about that. But I know him. We played flag football or recess together in middle school. Love the kid. Wish him the best. He's not a great quarterback yet. He's not good. I heard people saying, like, Tennessee has a quarterback right now. Let's look at his stats. I've watched the games, but I just want to make sure that I wasn't just like, whatever, not watching him correctly. He threw for 1,800 yards so far, for 11 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and has a 64.3 QBR. And his rushing stats aren't impressive either. His biggest rushing game was week 1, where he had 8 carries for 65 yards. Since then, he's been like, 8 for 15, 11 for 17 yards, 8 carries for 1 yard, 9 carries for 44. So, like, nothing crazy. So, I'll repeat that again. 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 64.3 QBR, ranked 55th in the nation. Will Howard, on the other hand, who, for the most sake, we're talking, people, when they refer to Will Howard, they refer to him as good enough. He's good enough to win a national title. He is, because we have so much talent around him that he's good enough. This is the good enough stats that Will Howard gets and we have a better rushing game than Tennessee does. But we'll say the stats. He threw for 2,200 yards, so about 400 plus yards more than Nico does. 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions with an 83.6 QBR. He's throwing at an 80.8 completion rate this year, I believe. And Nico is throwing at much lower than that. He's throwing. I got to look it up right now. But 65%. So Will Howard's been worlds better than Nico's been. I wish Nico the best. He's a sophomore, but that's not what we're saying. We're saying this year, Nico's not even been close. He's bad too. If you watch him play, to me, he's looked bad. He's looked outmatched. He's looked bad. So whatever. That's my end of it. I'll end it there. But I just think his name is big, but once you start actually watching him, he makes so much mistakes that if he was Ohio State's quarterback, then if he's Ohio State's quarterback this year, then I don't even know. Like, people would be taking their donations back and burning their money instead of donating it, because they'll be like, why are we spending what was it, $8 million on this kid? Like, that they'd be so mad. But because he's not on our team, then we think he's the GOAT. So
Right, exactly. And
Funky rants, I do.
last
Yeah.
couple, last couple things I'll say. Number one, this Krenzel stuff has to stop. Look, I love Craig Krenzel. I love Holy Buckeye. I love that. You know, we couldn't get the run game going against Miami in 2002, and he ran the ball and picked up first downs for us. You know, he was a tough guy, but he was not a great quarterback. He's not better than Will Howard. Please stop this foolishness. Stop it. I don't care if he has a ring. Okay. Craig Krenzel was an okay skill-wise quarterback, but a great Buckeye. Both can be true. I love Craig Krenzel. Like, I rock with Craig Krenzel. He did his part as much as he could, but he was not a great quarterback. Stop it. Okay. Will Howard is a better, more talented quarterback. Now, Craig Krenzel has a ring. So, yes, we can say he's not on Craig Krenzel's level because he has a ring, but let this season play out. But please stop with this foolishness, y'all. Please. Just, I can't. But anyway.
Sorry, wait. I just saw someone say, I think Carson Beck has more interceptions than Will Howard. Carson Beck almost threw the same amount of interceptions in one game than Will Howard has all season. So
Carson Beck is trash.
I'm in a ranting mood today, but I was like, I have to look up Carson Beck's interceptions. Like, I know he threw 3 in a game.
Listen, him and them sleepy eyes of his is trash.
He has 12 interceptions.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So look, that's all I'm gonna say. We over a little bit, over an hour, but I want to remind y'all, shameless plug. I told y'all last week I got a song about to drop. It's called "You Know What Time It Is." I plan on dropping it this week. I will be shooting a video. Also, a little bit of a teaser. It will be featuring an ex-Buckeye. An ex-Buckeye who has a national title ring will be on the song. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but just to put that out there, I will let y'all know more about the video shoot. Those who are here in Columbus, I'm going to need a crowd to show up to shoot certain scenes. I will be letting y'all know where you need to go once I get that information. But I'm excited about this song, and I'm just keep telling y'all more as it comes. But I want to let y'all know. And yeah, somebody said sleepy eyes. I mean, he looked like he just woke up from a NyQuil nap every time I see that cat. No wonder he throwing picks. Like, you sleepy, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm going to end it right there. I could go another hour because I love y'all and I love talking college football, but we got to go. And y'all need to get ready for Kirk and Nevada because you know they always going to bring that heat, right? So
Absolutely.
Yeah, until next time, until next Sunday, love y'all. And I'll holler at y'all then.
Go Bucks. Go Bucks. Let's go. Beat Northwestern.
Beat Northwestern in Wrigley Field. In Wrigley. Yeah. Peace.